Plans to shake up UK human rights laws, as announced in the Queen's speech today, have been condemned by critics as a systematic gutting of key legal protections. The Human Rights Act is legislation that came into effect in 1988. It aims to let you defend your rights in UK courts and compels public organisations, including the government, police and local councils, to treat everyone equally. Ministers confirmed plans to bring forward a Bill of Rights instead, promising to add a healthy dose of common sense, aiming to stop abuses of the system. Justice Minister Dominic Raab previously accused some lawyers of taking advantage of human rights laws and said interpretation of the legislation in court had prevented criminals from being sent back to their home countries. But the change to this legislation has come with immense scrutiny, with many human rights activists calling this an emergency. Liberty, a London-based organisation who campaigned for everyone in the UK to be treated fairly, took a ride around Westminster earlier today with a billboard in protest against this move. I caught up with the director of Liberty ahead of this.
Then to Dominic Raab, the Justice Minister's constituency in Esher, to make people aware that the government is going to rip up human rights. This is a public safety warning and we will all be in trouble if we lose rights, and this government is trying to put itself above the law and not tell anyone about it. So our job is to make it clear, to say it loud and get people to stand up and say that this will not be done in their name. They will try and sideline the power of the courts to strike down legislation that violates human rights. And that's not legislation made by Parliament, that's legislation, secondary legislation, made by government minister, with no scrutiny from Parliament at all, no scrutiny from the people, and now, under these proposals, no scrutiny from the courts either. They will also make rights protections conditional on good behaviour. So obviously the whole point of human rights is that they're universal. They don't rely on whether you've been good or bad in the eyes of the state. They don't rely on whether you have citizenship, for example. But these proposals would strip away basic rights, rights to fairness, dignity and equality, from people who the state deems to have behaved badly or to not have the right status. So if you're a protester, if you're a migrant, if you're in prison or in police custody, you will have fewer rights than other people, and we won't be able as a country to claim that we have universal human rights protection anymore. This isn't about human rights laws being abused. This is about this government not wanting to be challenged in the courts and not wanting to be challenged by the people. It's not about a few bad cases, it's about making ordinary people unable to stand up to power.